We're going to call the meeting to order at 7 p.m. Hey, Greg. All right, let me start with the board norms. We're to maintain our focus, communicate respectfully, be present, keep the board productive and effective, and respect the agenda. Those are our board norms. Do we have any changes to the agenda? No, seeing none. All right. I don't think I saw any correspondence. But any correspondence we do have automatically gets logged. Members of the public, if there's anything that you do not see on the agenda and would like to speak to it now. Otherwise, we can talk about it when we hit the
Patty Dixon on hand.
All right. Patty, you're muted if you're talking. And
Unmute.
There we are.
Hi.
Hey, Patty.
Hi. I would like to take this moment to apologize to the towns of Athens and Brookline for my comments on Monday regarding real towns. I spoke with little regard for those communities, and I do sincerely apologize. Thank
you, Patty. Great.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Okay. Any other changes to the agenda? What would you like to add? No? All right. And again, no correspondence. Members of the public. Student reports. Who do we have out there? I see Ruthie.
That's it.
Ruthie, would you like to give your student report?
Sure. Recently, today, actually, we had a field day, which was a lot of fun, and we thank our student council and the kitchen staff and the maintenance guys for all putting it on and helping us throughout it. And also, we had we had an assembly today. It was a 10-minute assembly. I can't think of the word, but we unveiled our banners that was won last year for Ultimate Disc, and then this year for the girls soccer team for their winning the SVL and for being the runner-ups in the final game for D3 soccer. So then we also had a track banner which Hunter Fillion was on, so that was pretty nice. And then on Sunday we had the Hats Off performance, which was 2 performances at 2 and 7, and they were really good. So shout out to all the people that were in there and Mr. Chapin for directing that. And also last Saturday, then our softball team and Ultimate Disc team had their last games of the season. And well, oh my god, why can't I think?
It's the end of the year.
Summer fog, it's okay.
Quarter. Whatever. We both got out, and the boys had gone out in the first round, so good seasons and stuff around that. And we also had the Pops concert on Thursday. Yeah, which was really good. It was actually moved inside because it was supposed to rain and stuff, but that was high school band and chorus, jazz band, which is combined middle and high school. Well, the high school band and middle school are combined. And we also had all the elementary schools play, so that was pretty cool.
Wow, is that it, Ruthie? With all,
I think so.
Oh, I hear somebody in the background. Is there more?
No.
No?
There is something happening Saturday morning.
Oh yeah, what's happening on Saturday?
I bet you guys couldn't guess. Our seniors are graduating Saturday.
Fantastic. What time?
10 o'clock. The band is playing in it, so I don't actually know.
Oh, yeah, that's okay. Just show up. Yeah, that was a nice phone a friend there. Very good.
Thank you.
Ruthie, do you happen to know if Hats Off was recorded?
I don't know. I don't think so,
No,
but maybe.
it wasn't?
I think it was just stills.
Oh, it was just those?
Yeah.
All right. Well, recommendation to have that recorded.
And
yeah.
if people are also looking for yearbooks, then that link, get those in fast and soon because they're coming out in the summer, so Sarah could have prom and graduation pictures and stuff in them. But do those.
All right.
They're Will and Greg.
Thanks, Ruthie.
Yeah.
All right. Any questions for Ruthie? Comments? No. All right. Moving on to new business. Facilities investments update. Greg. So we're gonna have it up here. Do you want to stand beside it so that would that be easier for the
Whatever
camera?
you want me to do. I can sit over here, wherever, whatever.
Is that easier for your filming? If
You can sit over there. That'd be great. It's just
okay.
hard over with this pole. No, it's fine. I didn't realize when I sat down.
That's okay for you, but if you want to stand over here, that works as well.
No, I don't need to stand.
all day.
Well, as you can kind of see, looking through here, as you look at it, there's kind of the initial estimate of what we thought things would cost as we, once we got the money, we kind of, just, okay, what do we want to do? How can we do it? And so then you'll see, like, as we went through, we used vendors, and what the actual cost of things came out to be. So there's a lot that's updated here since the last time we talked about this. I think, 2 months ago? I think it was. So a lot's been done. I was actually really surprised going through it all that almost all of the projects are done. Bid, spec, POs are made. Bob, if you can scroll a little bit to the right, you'll see we got there's $5,200 in Wallstein funds. It's going to help towards the tennis courts. We got a $9,500 grant award from Efficiency Vermont for the B-level lighting upgrade, which over April break we took on the Herculean task of we got the activity room, the kitchen, and the weight room lighting is all done, and all new ceiling tile. That was a lot. For a week, that was definitely probably a little more than we should have bid off there. But it looks amazing. The response from students, staff, and whatnot that has been great. It's just amazing what some fresh lighting and fresh ceiling tile can do for a space. And so so if you look at the status on most of that, it's either delivered and been paid for, or is done and been paid for, or is at least ordered. We're waiting on. Gosh, I have to get the emergency lights for Newbrook, and then schedule with Kings. Just, as you can imagine, so many vendors are just so far out. We've just found Kings that they have a couple of guys that specialize in fire alarms and emergency stuff, so they're just great to use for that. We have pallets upon pallets around this building right now of ceiling tiles, lighting, flooring. The 2 Townsend classrooms are here. We just had them delivered here. They don't really have anywhere to store. So there are, if you get down into the basement area there and in the garage, there is a lot of stuff around. As you scroll down further, Bob, you'll find this is just more or less kind of things that have come up that if they were right there, right in the middle. Hold on. Basically, we've had a lot of things come up as well that right there.
This bottom one?
No, oh no, never mind. Yeah, it is up. You were right. I was wrong. Right there, additional expenses. These were just kind of some of the things that came up here and there where we just needed stuff. We needed some more shelving actually, some of it was for IT and some of it was for us. IT paid, the well pump went. I'm sure you all recall that one, which was amazing because that actually worked out really cool because that was also so. Mike Bingham and I we passed the Class 2 water operator exam, and the test was that day. So we were sitting here in the morning like, we really want to see these guys get this thing done so that we can take off for Rutland for the test. And they were just putting it all back in when we left to go to Rutland for the test. So it was really cool because at the same time, all the stuff that we've been learning, you were able to tangibly see a bunch of it go into effect. The gym equipment, we were able to get that ordered. It was a 14-week lead time. It should be here by the end of the month, which is super exciting. The offices upstairs are being refloored this summer. We were able to just cover that out of this money because we have it. I've actually we saved a lot of money that we had planned on spending between this funding and some of next year's for the bathroom renovation project, because we're going to take it on. It's going to be a heck of an undertaking. We're going to tear out all the tile that is not asbestos. We purchased a piece of equipment. You'll see a piece of equipment on there for like $2,500. That's basically it's a giant scraper that will scrape up tile. And we're hoping it's as good as it says it is, and that it can handle doing. No, it's basically like it's kind of like a jackhammer basically on wheels, and the number we got to have the flooring removed and laid down was so exorbitant that like we just couldn't justify it. It was like $40,000. It was like that's just too high. We won't have the money for it, but we want to do it. So we changed the flooring a little bit to a tile that we can lay down ourselves, and we're gonna dig it up, and we're gonna work really hard. And so of the bathroom projects, we'll have as you go down more now, Bob, to the bathroom project, we will have a plumber come in and do all that. We're gonna do all new valves, right? Everything. It's gonna be. Basically, the bathrooms are going to be brand new. They're all going to get painted. They're going to get new partitions, new flooring. Again, some of the pallets that are here are toilets and flushometers and sinks. It's all going to be new. I'm super excited about it. Some of these bathrooms and these fixtures are original, 40, 50 years old. And when something goes wrong, you can't shut the valves off. So the idea of like shutting the water off in the building and coming through and changing out, literally everything is really exciting. So Townsend, both pre-K classrooms are being refinished. I did the same thing there where I committed to tear it out and lay it down because they wanted $7,000 for 2 classrooms to tear out and lay down. And I was like, that's crazy. That's crazy high. That's like $4 a foot for tear out and lay down. That's normally like 2. And when I knew we were buying the piece of equipment that can do tile and can also do carpet, I was like, we'll tear it out. Really went over, met with Billy at Townsend, said, hey man, I'm gonna carve out like 8 to 10 days to do this project. I'm gonna need you to work with me. And he was like, I'm all in, and so it was really cool to have our staff buy in, and we went from a $18,000 quote to a $10,500. The bathroom, you'll see the flooring of $71.75. The first quote we received on that was $42,000. It was $42,000. We said, well, what if you took out just the removal? And the installation number of 28 went down to 18, and I said, no, that's still way too high. Yeah. And so we took it all out and didn't use the sheet good, used the tile, and came back at $7,000. And was like, yep, yeah, we'll sign that one. We'll take that. So, it's going to be a little more work, but I know that the crew that we have in place can do it, and it's gonna be great. Newbrook, a quick follow up on Newbrook and their awesome water issue. It honestly is a blessing in disguise. It's a bummer when it happens. It's a bummer that Scotty's finishing the year with glue floors, right? However, he's going to get new carpet. So, and Patrick and I are going to work together there, and I'm going to spend a couple days down there. We're going to paint the hallways before we lay down the new carpet. The art room will get new. Our art room was scheduled as part of this money to get new carpet. That's all bid spec scheduled. The library will also get new carpet and one small office, so they're going to get all new hallway carpets. We spec'd near the entrances to do a nice entry carpet to help, it's that really coarse stuff that will help knock dirt off kids' feet and minimize some of the carryover into these buildings. So yeah, it worked out really good. It's been a really cool time in West River to see the sharing of staff and equipment and people. We had the Townsend guy, Billy, was out with COVID. We have a guy that is a split custodian between Leland and Gray and Newbrook, and he was carving 2 hours out of his day to go over there and do bathrooms and trash and trash and compost removal. And then a couple of days in, they reached out, hey, our place is a mess, it's not being vacuumed, and 2 of the custodians here carved out time in their night at like 9:30 to go over, and they wall-to-wall carpet clean. And it's just, that's really cool. It's like that's the point of a district, right? That's the point of bringing a district together, merging a district, sharing things. Over April break, Patrick wanted to refinished his hallway carpets with the carpet extractor, and he used the new one that we got here last year. And so I called him, hey man, what did you think of the machine? He was like, that thing's amazing. I said, well, that's the one I purchased with some additional funds for you and Townsend to share, because he always has summer school, so during July Townsend can use it, and then as soon as it's over, it'll go down there and he'll be able to use it. And he was just like, oh, I'm so thankful, that thing's amazing, it's going to change my life down here. So it's cool, it's really cool. It's been great. D&K's closed in Jamaica. Jamaica had nobody to mow. We were hiring a grounds guy. I just reworked his schedule and he mows Jamaica now. Like, amazing way to solve a problem really easily. It looks great up there. He's doing a great job up there. I think he's doing a really great job everywhere. And it's awesome. When I went to Bill and Lori for the position, I said, I don't know if I can save you a ton of money, but I think we can do it better. That if we have it be someone that's our person, you're going to see the love and the care. And I think that we saw that. I think we see it in the fields, and so it's exciting. It's another one of those things that as a district is really exciting to head up and to be a part of and see kind of come to fruition. So I'm super excited for what this summer is going to bring. I know in Jamaica we've still got a door I've got to get out for the boiler room and the furnace room. And then the other big key in there that I know the principals will be talking about later is the safety security stuff. The badging, I think, is really, really going to help. When we can get all these schools' exterior doors all badged, it's just going to be so much easier. I think that it really is like people are like, oh, I don't have my key on me, so they prop a door. And I get it, it's not ideal, and it can, result in bad things, right? I mean, we saw that. So I think that's really key. I'm still working with with IT. We're trying to get all that stuff ordered, and again, we initially got a quote for like $45,000 to do that. We found the parts for a little over 12, and we're going to work with an electrician to just pull all the wire, and then we're just going to pay our door guy to do the install of the parts, and we'll save. That 35,000 number is probably going to come down to something like 27 to 30, and then that other money is going to go towards the vape sensors and some new cameras. So it's exciting. It's really cool. It was cool to update that thing and be like, dang man, I think it's almost all all those things are done, and now we can really start to look at some of these other things. We had it on there initially as the carts for for maintenance and whatnot. There was additional funds, again, by hiring the grounds person and using grant money to pay for it for the rest of this year. It saved like $7,000 that we still had in the mowing budget. So with that, and then there was some other money in another account, and we were like, dude, we can do this. And then Tammy was able to, she had some money left over in transportation, and we were able to sell the old golf cart off and get a little bit of that money back. We sold that for $1,300, I think it was, and so so now she has one specifically for athletics. Grounds has one that's got a little more power, is 4-wheel drive. We're hoping to in the fall add a plow to that, and be able to just definitely support Townsend more, and take care of theirs. We were doing it a lot this winter, anyways, but just keep trudging forward and keep putting things in place, and it's an exciting time, and I'm super thankful and blessed for your board, for your generosity of putting that money back in, because I can only do so much without money, and so that's huge, and I'm happy to have it. It's been stressful, it's been a lot of work, but it's been super fun to be able to do too, and start to see it all come together. It's going to be an exciting summer, and I think that students and staff are going to be really excited when they come back in the fall. Any questions?
What a great report. I don't think I'd ever want to sit across the negotiating table from you. Wow, amazing. Anybody have questions?
I just want to say thank you for what you're doing. You're making savings where we can use it in other areas, and I appreciate the frugalness. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
Getting stuff fixed and done. Thank you.
I'm interested in what's a vape sensor?
So they make a sensor that can actually detect when, so you can put them in a bathroom. So when the chemicals that come off those, it will sense them and it will send you an alert. And you can then tie it into the cameras in the hallway, so the cameras will record the 3 minutes prior to when that went off and up to the 3 minutes after when someone comes out. Wow. So it really wouldn't take you long to start figuring out who your culprits were. When we had the
You can get the doors back on.
over April break, we had the electricians were here doing all the fire alarms, right, in the panels, in the ceiling tiles when we did those, and they were like, it was like 2:30 and they were done with everything we wanted them to do. We're like, well, why don't you jump in the bathrooms? We're doing those this summer. So they jump in the sea-level bathrooms, and 2 of the apprentices were like 21 and 23. They're like, hey, so you got some kids up here that vape on? They're like holding like 6 of those little pods that are up in the ceiling tile. Like, it's like, goodness. We also found a milk carton from a student of like 10 years ago, and he wrote on it, and it was empty, and he just said, I don't remember who his name was, but I put this up here, and either put it back, either put it back or put another one up there or something, and I actually put it back up. I thought, who am I to take this down? He did such good work. So it's hiding up there for someone else to find later.
Yeah.
I can appreciate it, That's pretty funny.
Joe said time capsule.
Yeah, it was funny because Mary Lindsley and there was another staff member, and they were coming through and they're like, we remember him. So they were dying because
The truth is, it's probably one at BUHS with your name on it somewhere, stuck up in
there's a no, they had the renovation, you know what I mean? They had the big renovation. We were down at EMI.
I think we have somebody out in Zoom.
Hey, Bob. Could I comment?
Oh, yeah, go ahead, Scotty, and then I think we had...
Put her hand down.
Oh, okay. Go ahead, Scotty.
I just wanted to say really quickly, because I missed our last meeting right after we flooded. And we came in that morning to 2 inches of water in the building. And it was a Sunday, so you can imagine that all I was thinking about is, are we going to be able to have school on Monday? And it really was Pat Mace and Greg Frost and Mike Bingham who we dragged all the carpet out and we got it all out to the dumpster. And I'll tell you, if we didn't have that, like I would have been calling, a service, and they would have taken the time that they would have needed to take, and we would have never been able to have school. And I really appreciate the level of service I'm getting from Greg and from his team, and of course from Pat. And I got to meet Mike Bingham that day, and it was really great. We all worked together until we got it done. And the only reason we were there is because our PTO was having a cleanup day, and I was on my way there when I got a text saying that they had come into water. So we really lucked out, and we're going to get some beautiful flooring out of this. But really, this is all coming from the mind of Greg Frost. I just wanted to say thanks for that.
Oh, Patty's hand is up again. Go ahead, Patty.
Hi. This is all great stuff. It's amazing, and I'd love to be able to see it. But also, it would be good to get the word out about all of these changes that are happening. And if you have any kids who do video or, you know, that kind of thing, and create a movie or whatever about all the changes and before and afters and things like that. Just a thought.
That's a great idea,
Summer
Patty.
for sure.
If Bob could help coordinate that, I'm terrible at before and afters. I'm terrible at it. I just, you know what I mean? It's like you get in, you go, and I do have a couple pictures of the kitchen in mid-destruct that I sent over to Kendra. She was not happy.
We want happy pictures.
What have you done to my kitchen? But yeah, it was really cool. You know, the thing is, you know, right? It's got to get ugly before it can get pretty, and it was great.
Well, maybe you can. Oh, go ahead, Lori.
So I wanted to talk a little bit about money. So Greg has done this amazing job and keeping track of everything, but there is just not enough time for everything to come in by June 30th or all the projects to be done by June 30th. And of course that will roll over, it won't roll over specifically for this in fiscal year 23. So I would like to suggest to the board that they make a motion to move any unspent money out of the previously $175,000 approved capital needs money to be put into the capital fund so that that money is not lost in the rollover in the general reserve. And later when we get to financials, I'm going to talk a little bit about what is in the reserves and what that looks like. But that's my suggestion. Is it's just not possible to get to spend out the entire $175,000 before June 30th.
Lori, can you just restate that again so that somebody can just so move it?
Sure. I'd like to suggest that the board moves to, I wrote it down actually, move any unspent money out of the previously approved $175,000 for capital needs into the capital fund.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion?
Does that prevent Greg from spending any of that?
No, it actually will isolate it, so he'll be able to spend it out of the capital fund. Now, everything's been, because the board did this in the middle of the year, or maybe it was early in the year, they approved, I think it was first 150,000, and then at a subsequent meeting, you approved another 25,000 for the tennis courts. You know, that's all been coming out of the general fund. So when you see the financials, which I sent to you yesterday, you'll see the building operations is, you know, way over budget, but that was approved by the board to go over budget. It's just that it won't be able to be spent out before June 30th.
All right. Any other discussion? I don't think we have anybody out there, no.
Lindsay.
Oh, I'm sorry, Lindsay. All right, no other discussion? I will, all right, let's have a vote on that. Lindsay, we'll start with you. How do you vote?
I vote aye if you can hear me.
Yes, gotcha. Oh, aye, yes.
Aye.
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 Aye. Aye. Aye.
And aye. Motion carries unanimously.
Right.
Thank you, Lori, and thank you, Greg. Wow. Maybe we can get somebody who, does anybody do photography in the school? That
There are, oh
could,
yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah, we'll reach out to some kids. Yeah, I would
There you go.
love to. I mean, I need to do a better job of it, but.
No, you're doing a better job at other things, so somebody else can take care of the pictures.
Okay.
Yeah. Don't overtask yourself.
All right, moving on to a new section here, we have an activities update by our athletic director and activities director, Tammy Claussen.
Well, it's been a very busy spring, and we had 45% of our student population participating in a spring sport. So it was our busiest season so far. We had 7 teams between middle school and high school. And I first would like to congratulate all the teams on their hard work. And it was a challenge. We faced busing, shortages. Our track team had to drive themselves to a couple different meets. We got drivers from wherever we could. Greg was very helpful as well, working with West River Transportation to try to come up with some solutions. So that was great. If it wasn't busing, it was COVID, or it was, other schools or weather. So, yeah. But we all survived it, and it was a great spring. So I wanted to also congratulate the teams and all the coaches for all their hard work and their perseverance and their patience with, scheduling. It was crazy and constantly shifting. So up on this screen.
Before we go, I just want to say, just give Tammy a quick shout out, because when Marty Tusto announced that he was going to leave last year, I was like, oh no. I don't know how we live without Marty. And Tammy, who had done this job a while ago, a number of years ago.
Smart, Bob.
I won't say how many. Came back with additional sports and additional challenge with COVID and everything else. And has just done a really nice job this year. I just want the board to know that, recognize that she's stepped right in, and it's been pretty seamless. And there was some big shoes there, so I just want to publicly say thank you to Tammy for doing this. First of all, stepping up to be willing to do it, and then nailing it as you did. So thank you for that. And now I'll share your
So I know Ruthie's already shared a little bit about our spring, what's been happening most recently, and then on Monday I had also shared this with Bob for the long-term planning. But I think it's really indicative of the great things that happen here at Leland and Gray, and the reason why a small school is so beneficial for our kids. So, I mean, that slide alone just shows you that 58% of our students participate in some type of activity, whether it is a sport or a drama production or the music program. And compare it to those other 5 schools. Those are the 5 who responded to me. They're of similar size as we are, so it seemed like we were comparing apples to apples. And I thought that was really impressive to see. So our kids really are engaged with what happens here at Leland and Gray. They want to participate, and like I said, 45% just for the spring season alone. And that was just the athletic registration. That doesn't include the music program and the drama production that just happened. So it's really more than that. All right, and if you want to go to a different slide.
The 6-year one?
Yeah, sure. If you could slide it over so you can see the graph. So what I did is, just because I was kind of curious, well, how have we recovered from COVID? But all the blues would be the fall season, and the orange would be the winters, and then the gray is the spring. And as you can see, from the 2019 to 20, okay, we lost our spring season, right? That was the only season that never existed because of COVID. But you see how we've rebounded all the way back to almost the 2018-19 school year. And the thing about this is that it doesn't even take into account our enrollments. So if you slide the screen back over, because it took me a little bit to understand this, but if you were to look at, and maybe scroll, yeah. So if you look at the 6-year comparison and the total number of participants on the year, you see from the 271 is 2016 school year, I think. So our numbers are going up with participation, but our population is going down, right? So really what it's saying is we have more and more kids involved, which is really cool. So, and then the bottom graph to your right again, sorry, you're doing a nice job, Bob. Just kind of shows you that year over year, there we are, we're rebounding after COVID, and like I said, all the way back up to where we were in 2018.
So the students that are over 100%,
So that's.
Where do they come from, and how do we get them here all the time?
So, like I was trying to understand with this is that if Peter participates in the fall and he also participates in the winter and he also participates in the spring, he's counted a few different times, but it's still that many, right? That you're comparing against the population of participants.
What about sports and do music and you do drama?
Yeah, so that's
Does that
not even,
add?
because I took my numbers off of the form relief, which is how they sign up to participate in a sport. So yeah, it's actually greater than that, you're right.
And multiple sports in one season.
Yeah. So if you go all the way over to the pics, I thought I could show you a little bit of what this spring looked like. So we've got, I'll let Bob just slowly scroll down. There's a nice track and field, Andrew Tolbert, he's a senior. We have, we know who this person is, some people do, Mr. Trevor Hazelton. In his sprint event, that is Jimmy Johnson, a senior. This, I think, was Jimmy's first time ever doing track and field, and that's the cool thing too, is these kids aren't afraid to try new things.
Look at that effort.
That's shot put there. There's Kate Petty, she's also a senior. She was doing hurdles, but by the time we got a picture of the hurdle, you'd only see her back, so. And there's kind of a nice shot of the team at the award ceremony. This was at their state championship last Friday. There is a middle school baseball player. Might know him too. Good form. And there's Ryan. Ryan Dunn is an 8th grade baseball player. About the middle school baseball team, they had 25 boys on their team. I couldn't find a second coach. John Peloso took on all 25 of those kids and sort of divided them into 2 squads. So huge shout out to John and anyone who came to help at practices. It was great. So now we're on to Ultimate Disc. I don't know if you can see in that picture, but there's some new discs that we got with our Leland and Gray Rebels emblem on there. That was kind of cool. Personalize them. I think that might be Andrew, a 2-sport athlete. There's Warren Roberts, also a senior. And there's a nice pic of the whole squad. Again, between disc and track, I think there were 7 maybe that did both sports. So talk about trying to juggle a lot happening at once. And, you know, they couldn't compete on the same days because there wasn't enough on either, you know. So we made it work. And there is a varsity softball team, a couple good shots there. Nice play coming in. I don't see the ball yet. I'm not sure if she was safe or out. Savannah Cadron's a junior. Just playing after, since middle school, her first time playing again. And here is a freshman, Kristen Lowe, pitching for us. She did a great job. Good form right there. There's our middle school track team. I couldn't find a lot of shots of them, but they didn't have a ton of meets, but I don't think we've had a middle school track team before, or it's maybe our second year.
Second year.
Yeah. And that just shows like how the team supported each other throughout the season. This was the softball team who was there watching the baseball senior day. So, you know, it really is a great community. They made all those posters for those boys because we know boys won't do it for themselves. There is Parker Richardson. He's a junior. Solid baseball player. Riley McCormick is a senior. It's a great shot. You see the ball. And there's Jeremiah at the plate. Or, I mean, yeah, he's at the plate as a catcher. The ball's coming in. I don't know if he's going to get it or not.
He'll get it.
So another special event that happened this spring, we did our first annual event, Dingers for Dylan. And although the rain poured down, we didn't get to play baseball or softball that day, but the event happened and all these kids helped make it happen. And I believe over $5,000 was raised in that event, which is, again, such a special community we live in.
What was it?
So I don't have a picture of Mr. Greg Frost, who might have been the home run derby winner, but there is Dylan's dad, Ben, right there with a nice swing. So he did he have one out? I think he did.
He did.
Yeah. And then again, one of our baseball coaches. Look, you see the ball in both these pictures. Great photography. That's Matt Winkler, one of the assistant coaches on baseball, and he hit one out too.
The balls were pretty waterlogged, so it was
They were.
a tough slog.
They weren't the real deal. And on to middle school softball. There's a picture of Grace Wright and who's
Kylie.
Kylie, that's you. Look at you, you made it.
On the big
Playing
screen.
first base. And I think that's Bethany, 8th grader. And we have hats off. That was the seniors from Sunday. Let's see, Peter's in there. Yeah, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 seniors and hats off.
That's it.
And that's it. So, that's what we've been up to this spring. And I think we have a baseball softball camp coming up on June 20th to 24th. I'm not sure about any other summer camps here other than our middle school camp. I think the building's going to be a little bit under maintenance, so might be a light year for sports camps here, but I do know our girls soccer team is going to Keene State, and yeah, a lot happening. It's been a great year.
Thank you, Tammy. Any questions? Oh, Leanne, yeah, go ahead.
Try and get this out. I had some dental work done. Thank you, Tammy, for going through all of that. I just wanted to highlight something. I happened to be reading through the comments today, and there was a quote from you in there on the Thursday's, I believe it was the softball game.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's something worth noting. Everything that went into that so that students were able to do both that game and then the Pops concert later on that evening.
Yeah.
And I think that's something the school needs to highlight more of is, hey, you know, it's a small school. You can do all of this, and people like Tammy are going to bend over backwards to try and make that happen. And you're not going to see that in a larger high school.
Yeah,
Senior
thank you for
trip too,
mentioning
right?
that.
Yeah.
The senior trip was that day.
Yeah, so it was, the senior class trip, so seniors were like, I have to play a playoff game, but I also have to go to my senior class trip. So we negotiated, our boys team was on the road. Fortunately, it was only Green Mountain, they went to Chester. So yeah, as ADs, we got on the horn. It was like the Chester game got moved back to 5, so those kids the seniors could be on their trip and still make it back and play. The softball game was actually moved up to 4 so that those kids who were involved in music could play in their home playoff game and then make it to the Pops concert. And was there one other thing going on too? I don't know. It just seemed like.
I think we had some transportation coming back from the senior trip.
Oh yeah,
early
so
to
there
get
was a
some
lot
kids
of
back,
juggling,
right?
but thank you. It was definitely, that's what makes it special too. That we don't tell kids, oh, I'm sorry, pick and choose. You want to go on your senior class trip or you want to play with your softball team, you know? So, yeah.
Another great example of that, of where she brought up some of the transportation issues, is we ended up having to cover the word school bus on one of our buses so that an employee of ours, our new grounds person, Joe Novick, who has his CDL and he has the passenger endorsement, but not the school bus endorsement. So the bus couldn't say school bus, but he could drive it. And he drove 4 away games the last week, right after.
He saved us.
Yeah,
Absolutely saved
because
us.
we didn't want to have these teams continue to drive themselves. And so we got together, we found another driver. That driver called me Saturday at 6 o'clock to tell me that the cook in Dover had COVID and he was going to have to cook all week and he wasn't going to be able to help us. And so we were able to use Joe and meet these needs. And again, it's absolutely, that does not happen anywhere else. It just doesn't, you know.
Well, and that type of stuff happens not only in athletics and transportation and maintenance, and it happens with daily substitutes and people covering classes. Like the last couple of years has been like that entirely. And the community here, meaning the staff and people who are associated with it, have stepped up every single time to make it happen for kids. And that's, again, is just incredible. People have done an amazing job with that. Yeah. When we're all like totally burnt out.
Yeah,
absolutely. It's just, it's incredible to me, yeah.
Any other questions?
So
Nope.
I just want to say, so Kylie did softball camp. I think she did it for 6th and 7th grade with you and Coach Russell, and it was amazing. And she developed this confidence, and this year she joined the team. She's first baseman, and she's never played softball in her life. And she has done just amazing. And she probably wouldn't do that if she was in Brattleboro. So, thank you.
You're welcome. Glad to have her. Take you back. June 20th. Are we good?
Yeah, I think so. Thanks, Tim. All right, so I know Melissa White is not here. I don't know, did you want to speak to that? No.
I don't know anything about it.
Okay.
I mean, all I know is that we have a summer transition camp happening like we do every year.
Right.
That's all I know.
Okay. Yeah.
And Lori might be able to say something if you, I don't know.
Lori, did you want to?
The only other thing is Explorers Camp is happening. That is all scheduled, and the staff has been hired for that. I think the paperwork is out for kids to sign up. As far as the year-long plan, that's still, I think, in the works and being decided. So no new news there.
Okay.
You can table it.
I'm sorry, what was that?
We could table it.
Yeah, we can table it. And then there's a report, as Joe said. All right, so moving on to our award-winning flexible pathways, Terry Davison Berger.
We're playing musical chairs, but like not the Micah version of musical chairs.
All right, Terry, you should be able to
Share?
Yep, give it a try.
All right, so I have a little handout for you guys that just gives a snapshot of all of the flexible pathways that we offer at Leland and Gray that I thought would just be like a handy dandy little, you know, just a little snapshot. So if anybody asks you, what are we doing and what does that mean, you guys have like a little guide.
So yeah, just a quick introduction. So the Flexible Pathways Law came into effect, I'm going to say maybe 10 years ago. I'm just guessing, but I don't remember the exact year. And you know, some of these things were already happening, as you're going to see through her presentation. Some of these things are new. But after I was hired as principal, I think it was the next year, this position that Terry's in did not exist. So we were able to create this position at the time with the support of the board to manage all of these multiple pathways to ensure that the kids had access to them as was designed by the state. So she worked here before as an admin assistant she was my admin assistant when I came on board. And so we knew that she had potential to do more, but we also recognized that there was a need to do this type of work. So she has jumped into this position and taken off. You're just gonna be impressed with all of this. It's gonna blow your mind. But anyways, so this is a relatively new position here, probably 5 years ago, I think. So, go ahead.
All right. He actually just didn't want me as his admin assistant. So he created a position for me. That's the real story. But, all right, so multiple pathways. My position is called multiple pathways. The state calls it flexible pathways. It's all the same. So I am the coordinator, and I have Sarah Grasso, the school counselor, as supporting staff. Sarah and I work extremely close together all the time, talking about the students and what their strengths are, what their needs are, to try to sort of help them find the best pathway for themselves. And also, in general, and specifically with senior survival, Christy Beatty from the Brattleboro Development Credit Corporation, who did a presentation to you guys a couple months back, she is their school to workforce liaison, and so she and I work very closely together, supporting each other in our different roles and just trying to maximize each other's resources, basically.
And on a related note, the BDCC this year is giving out for the first time what they're calling their P3 School Partner Award to people or I think is a school partner or just partner?
I don't know.
Yeah, we haven't really seen the plaque yet. However, Christy reached out to Bill and I and said, we've created this award to recognize people in the schools who are doing this work and really like going at it well. And she said, and this is year 1, so obviously it's going to Terry. So of all the people that she works with in the 4 Windham County high schools, and I think she has mentioned this when she was here, we've said this before as well, but Leland Gray takes advantage of those offerings the most, and so Terry is the face of that for us, so she is the first winner. Maybe they'll call it the Davison Berger Award. I don't know. But anyways, so she's going to be getting her plaque soon, and we're pretty excited about that. We'll get the press release and all that going as well. So.
You got to retire.
Pictures.
Retire her number.
Thank you. All right, so at Leland and Gray, we offer multiple pathways, including work-based learning, dual enrollment, senior survival, which isn't necessarily a flexible pathway, but it actually really ties into career readiness. Early college, online learning, independent studies, the Windham Regional Career Center, and I also coordinate community service, and I also consider that a flexible pathway because there some students really connect and find opportunities in their community service, and also like for some students it inspires a career path. So not technically, but I think it's worth noting, and I'm also responsible for it, so it actually does sort of fall under my job. Our goal here at Leland and Gray is that 100% of all of our students are college and career ready and have a post-graduation plan in place. And Bob and I have talked about this in depth, that really when you are talking about being college ready, you really are talking about being career ready, because college is just a stepping stone to a chosen career. So it's just really important to us to be working with all of our students, some who are college bound and some who are not, to make sure that when they walk over that stage on Saturday, they have a game plan. And for some it is college, for some it is the military, for some it is a certification program, for some it is an apprenticeship, and for some it is just going directly into the workforce, but they have that job and they have a game plan. And for some it's sort of a combination of a bunch of different things, Peter. You know, where they have a lot of interest and they're going to be exploring a couple different things. But we work with every student to make sure that they have something lined up, so when they walk out these doors, they have something in place.
And I'm not going to talk to every slide, I promise. But I do want to say this. You guys, some of you know I have a lot of kids, and so I've toured a lot of colleges with my kids. And the one thing that I came back with the impression that one of the things that colleges sell you on when they do tours, particularly to the parents, not so much to the kids, is their placement offices, right? Their work centers and how they get kids aligned with jobs. And I thought, wow, like colleges really spend a lot of money to make sure they have those placement offices. Like high schools don't really have that, and yet we're expected to get kids ready for a career in college. So this 100% like placement idea came from visiting colleges and seeing that. And I challenged Terry and Sarah to come up with a way to demonstrate that we were doing that. And so I think 2 years ago, we started doing this at graduation, where as every student's name is read, we list the awards that they've won, and we say what they're doing. So they are going to work at such and such a place. They are headed to this college to study this. They are taking a gap year to do this. Whatever it is that they're doing, they're serving our country in the military. We announce that at graduation, so it's really very personalized for each kid. Now, again, I've said this 100 times, but like the small school, you can do that and not have your graduation last 4 hours. But it's just really cool. And so this is where that came out. It was this idea of 100%
placement. And it's also a place to value and honor each student, because the reality is that not every student is going to be going to college, and that's okay. I think I know I come from a generation where you just went to college. That's what you do, and that is what was valued. And of course, we're educators, we want people to further their education, but that doesn't necessarily mean a four-year college. So that also means getting on-the-job training, apprenticeships, certifications, all those sorts of things. So I think that by doing this, it's also letting our students know that we value those of you that aren't going to college, as well as those of you that are making a different choice for yourself and your career and your future. All right, so work-based learning. This is really, I do all of this, but work-based learning really takes up I would say the largest percentage of my time. I have never even tried to break it down, but definitely I spend a lot of time with the work-based learning students. Work-based learning, also formerly known as co-op. We still refer to it as co-op, but this offers students the opportunity to earn credits for graduation while gaining valuable work experience. They're exploring careers and gaining skills by learning hands-on in a variety of local businesses and organization. And then we have a weekly class that connects classroom learning to their experience in the workplace. And just featured on here is Brennan Gary, who did his internship at Roland Homes, and with Greg DeRocha, who is not only a Leland and Gray parent, but he is also an alum, and he is also a co-op alum. So I'll talk a little bit more farther down about just the full circle of co-op at this point in time, but this was really, we'll talk also about the reasons, but Brennan is a kid that really benefited from being outside of the building. We'll talk about all the reasons and motivations, but for some students, it's just really nice for them to get out of the building for a block or two a day, and they have a chance to reset and rejuvenate and come back. And Brennan not only really loved working hands-on, but he also just benefited from getting out of the building. He's currently working for a carpenter in Stratton, and is quite successful, and just recruited another Leland and Gray alum to go work with his business. So this was his first time in a formal setting working as a carpenter. So again, co-op has been around. The earliest documentation I've been able to find was the early 1970s with Leland and Gray students placed at Stratton.
I was one.
You were what? Okay, see, so.
Tom Connors.
With Tom? So it has been around. Co-op is nothing new. Doing internships is nothing new around here. I'm sure it's looked very different over the last almost 50 years, but it has been around for a while, and possibly even before. This is just the earliest. I actually found a newspaper clipping from a bunch of kiddos up at Stratton. So I was hired in the summer of 2017, and since that time I have had 98 students participate in work-based learning, and of those 38 students have participated in 2 or more opportunities. And we did not offer work-based learning in the fall of 2020 due to COVID. Definitely COVID made placing students a little bit tricky. That first spring it was very tricky because those internships just finished. They just had to be done. I had to pull all those students. We didn't even make an attempt in the fall. And then for the past year, we've been kind of rebuilding. There are some sites that we still, I'm hoping in the fall, Grace Cottage being one, we have not been able to place students at Grace Cottage since the start of COVID, which is pretty unfortunate, but hopefully we're, by next semester, we'll be at that point that we could get students back there. So this is just a quick slide for you guys just to see who is doing work-based learning. This is from this current semester. I'll show you last semester, but what I can say is that there is not a typical kid that does co-op. I think in the past, at least in my 5 years here before taking this job, I always sort of got the sense that co-op was for those kids that aren't going to college. And it was geared specifically for kids that were more trade oriented. I have not found that at all. That has absolutely not been my experience. It's a really wide mix of students, split pretty evenly between the boys and the girls. It is always primarily seniors and juniors, and some sophomores. It's tricky with sophomores because of labor laws and because of transportation. So I can place sophomores depending on the site, but because of labor laws, 15 and under it's hard. It's tricky to place students, and then you have to find a way for them to get there if they want something off-site. So typically, juniors and seniors are primarily my co-op kids. And again, as you can see, it's a pretty diverse mix of college, trades, gap year certification. And just looking at the fall, so this spring I had 19 students. This past fall I had 17 students. Again, a mix of boys and girls, juniors, seniors. I did not have any sophomores in the fall. And again, you can see of those seniors, college, trades, apprenticeship, military. One graduating student owns their own business already, and another one doing a certification program. And then just a little looking back, of the 98 students who have participated, again, a pretty even split between males and females, 10 sophomores total, 88 juniors and seniors. And I've also placed 3 students with intensive special needs, collaborating with the special ed department. Sammy Pelton being one. Sammy was placed at Mary Meyer, and that actually led to a job for her directly after graduation. And I have to double check with Patty, but the last I talked to her, Sammy was still at that job. So that's pretty exciting. And then this past fall, I did a survey with my co-op alumni, just because I was sort of curious, like, I just wanted to get some feedback about how they felt about co-op now that they'd been out for a little while, and just get a little perspective. So of the 26 that responded, half of them, more than half of them, ended up going to college. 17% into the workforce, 13% took a gap year, AmeriCorps, military, apprenticeship, starting their own business, police academy, and certification program, all pretty equally. So why work-based learning? Why is this important? The simple thing is relevant learning plus work experience equals career readiness. But I would say that why work-based learning is really personal to each student, and they all have their different reasons and different motivations. And I won't read what students have to say, but for instance, this is Austin Meeks. He interned, actually this is him working on one of the buses, and he is very much a hands-on learner and did not enjoy sitting in the classroom at all. And so he worked at West River Valley Transportation and then at Green Engine Works. And right after graduation, he started his own business called Meeks Maintenance. And he has a very successful lawn maintenance business based out of Wardsboro. I see all the time, he's buying new equipment, he's investing. Like, he is a very successful business person and really needed the opportunity to be hands-on. Another interesting thing about Austin when we talk about the Career Center is that Austin, in my opinion, was a perfect candidate for the Career Center for their automotive program. And he consciously chose, he did not want to go to the Career Center because he did not want to take the courses at BUHS. So while the automotive program at the Career Center would have been a really good fit for him, he did not want to have to leave the Leland and Gray community and take core classes at BUHS. And so this co-op was sort of like the perfect fill-in for him for that, for a student that didn't want to go to the Career Center. Again, for some people, they just wanted to try new things. Some students are pretty sure they have an idea of a job that they want to do, but they just want to try it on first. I have found that education is a really interesting one. People that think they want to be teachers, it goes one of two ways. They end up in a classroom and either like that's it and that's what they want to do, or they make a decision that they absolutely never want to step foot in a classroom ever again. And what I tell them is that knowing what you don't want to do is just as important as knowing what you do want to do. And how valuable and important is it to have that information before you have invested your money into a college and you have done your freshman year and you start your student teaching your sophomore year or whatever, and like decide like this isn't for me, and you've already invested that time and money. And I've also, the medical field is one where people have, you'll see in later slides, they've tried on and it's really helped them decide and define that that's what they want to do. Again, somebody like Brennan, like, just needs a little time out of the building, and that's okay too, right? And then we have a student like Quinn Kellaway, who definitely was a kid that needed to get out of the building and had gotten himself into a little trouble, and his coach, Mr. Barton, was like kind of feeling a little concerned about him, and came to me and said, I think I want to put this kid in my wife's classroom over at Townsend Elementary. And I was like, okay, I'm game. And Quinn was game, and the whole thing was a fluke. And he got into that classroom and absolutely blossomed and shined, and has decided that he wants to become an elementary school teacher. He is currently working as a paraprofessional at Chester Andover Elementary School. And he did not know he would be good at it until he was there. And he didn't start off being like, I want to go into the elementary school and work with elementary school. I just want to try it. It was like, we're going to just kind of like, you just need to give this a whirl. And he got there and it was amazing. And Mr. Roach would call me and say, this kid, Mr. Roach actually took notes watching Quinn interact with the kids that he thought could help him become a better principal and educator, because he was so impressed with Quinn's skill with younger students. So again, the motivation was different from other kids, but the end result was that he learned something really valuable about himself, and in this situation it like led to a career choice for him. Emma Lane, she interned with Z-Pots and still works there. So almost, well, now 4 years later, so she is still working as an artisan at Z-Pots. And with her, she just came to me and said, I just want to be creative. I want to try to find something that is art-oriented, and I happen to have a connection with Z-Pots, and so I reached out to them and they said sure, and 4 years later she's still there working with them. There's all kinds of other people just telling you all the reasons that they decided to do co-op.
And you guys have this PDF version as well, emailed to you, so you can check them out.
Bob, you want to jump in on anything?
Well, this particular slide I would love to, because when I first looked at this slide that Terry created, I was like, oh, these are the skills that we are teaching kids, and Terry's like, no, these are the skills that the kids told us they learned. This wasn't us asking, this was us asking, like, what'd you learn? They listed these. This was not part of a plan per se, but these is what they said they learned. So I think that's pretty cool when they're able to articulate specific things that they learned about. Some are more soft skills, being punctual, and some are very specific, like how to write a medical soap note, whatever the heck that is. But you know, some really cool things. And the self-confidence piece at the end is really, for me, one of the big ones. As they learn, whether it's Quinn just realizing this is what he wants to do and just having him blossom in that realm, and it's just really, it's pretty fun to watch. And I will say this about Tara, she mentioned the kids, like, I just want to be creative. When they come into her room the first day of that semester, some of them are pretty clear. I want to be a mechanic, I want to go work in a shop, I want to do this. And some of them are like classic teenager, oh. And she has to draw that out from them to figure out with interest surveys and different conversations, and talk about the partnership she has and figure out how to match them. And some kids take a little bit of time to figure out where to place them, but she places all of them every semester without fail.
Yeah, I've had some, working with chickens was my interesting one this semester. Like, I have a student that just is like really interested, basically wants to become like a fowl veterinarian specifically, and like wanted to work, didn't want to work with like dogs or cats, but like chickens. And so that one was interesting. And a couple of years ago, I had a student who wanted to become a marine biologist, which this is like not really the easiest place to place someone in marine biology. But in talking with her more, she had a general interest in wildlife rehab and that sort of thing. So we ended up placing her with the Southern Vermont Natural History Museum, where she created raptor enrichment activities for an entire semester. So that was really cool, like, because apparently captive raptors can go kind of crazy unless they have things that can keep them like entertained and occupied. And that was also one of Bob's favorite final presentations of the semester, when I was like, so can she bring in like a bird and a turtle?
This is the other piece that you don't really go into in the presentation, Eliza. These kids all have to do some sort of like capstone presentation at the end to kind of talk about what they've learned and what they've taken away. And yeah, and so there were animals in the driver's ed room, as I recall, just whatever, hanging out. So yeah, just some weird stuff. But it's great. I mean, she found a way to connect to an interest that we wouldn't have thought possible in Vermont.
Yeah, that was a tricky one, but also one of the more interesting ones for sure. And I do have to say that on here is communication in the workplace and how to communicate with supervisors. And really, like, I should have done like 40 more communicate. Like, of all the things that students, my alumni told me over and over and over again is communication. Just that skill of working with other people, working with a supervisor, all those things, like they just really felt no matter what their co-op was, that it helped them learn to be a better communicator.
And that, of course, is #1 on our list of transferable skills, clear and effective communication.
Right.
Without doing this.
Yes. Right, to actually have to sit and talk. Yep.
Without texting.
Just a little data. So I started this year doing, at the end of each semester, doing a feedback form for my students, just because it's really important for me to get that information, to get that feedback, to let me know what they think I'm doing well, what they think I need to improve on, what am I covering, what am I missing. So one of the questions is, have you used any of the tools, tips, information learned in co-op? And this semester, 100% of them said, I asked them at the end of the semester that they had already used some of the information that they had learned. And in the fall, it was 92%. And then in my alumni feedback form, I asked, have you used any of the skills you learned in co-op? Not just the tools and the tips, but the skills. And 93% said that they had used those skills after, in the real world. So I feel like that's pretty good. And another question I asked was, did participating in co-op help better prepare you for life after graduation? And 82% said that yes, it did help better prepare them for life after graduation, and 18% said maybe. So I'm happy with that. Like, there's some of them are still figuring it out, but 82% said like they definitely learned things that help prepare them.
You don't see any no's on there, though, do you?
Right, there's no no's.
Sometimes maybe's as good as you're gonna get.
Yeah.
They may not realize it.
Elizabeth Helby, another, she is a student that did physical therapy at Grace Cottage. And what's interesting about her is that her internship helped her when she needed to complete observation hours for her grad school applications. So she directly used this high school experience for her grad school applications. So I think that's pretty exciting. And she is, I don't think, did she just graduate?
She probably would have.
I think she actually might have just graduated for a career in PT. Emma Kelly and Avery White, both, with Emma it was more just like, it helped her apply for jobs, being more professional at work, helping her to be more of an adult. With Avery, she did her internship not only at Grace Cottage, but also at Dr. Breckley's office that was across the street.
Yeah, Dr. Brickley.
Oh, I just looked it up. So you know what I'm talking about, because she had not decided, she wasn't sure if PT was her thing or nursing was her thing, so she tried both. And ultimately, she ended up going to Ithaca for physical therapy. So where have students interned? I am definitely not reviewing this in depth, but these were our community partners from this year. A really wide variety. Often students will intern with various departments here on campus, and some of them get out and about. Tammy had a student intern this year. Peter was a co-op student this year with Rescue Inc. And Tyler Claussen did 2 separate internships, one at Townsend Elementary and one learning glass blowing. So definitely within this room, there's a lot of co-op connections for sure. These are previous community partners from before this year. Again, a wide variety. There are farms, there are mechanics, there are electricians, plumbers, the hospital, the Workhorse Cafe, Valley Cares. It's a wide range. Beck Engineering, that was an interesting one.
I was going to say.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Grace Cottage, again, being a major partner, and I threw this up here. I actually happened to run into Cassidy this weekend. My mom was having a yard sale, and Cassidy showed up, and she told me, I said, so what are you, I know everyone. So I said, what are you doing now? And she said, oh, I'm doing radiology at Cheshire Medical Center. And I said, you did it. And she said, yeah. Kate went to Grace Cottage, unsure. She had done an internship in an elementary school, wasn't super feeling it, decided to try Grace Cottage, shadowed. Radiology is an interesting one. You can only basically observe and watch and learn, but you can't actually like put your hands on anything. But that was it, and she loved it. She started off at Southern Vermont. What is that? Southern Vermont College, and then they closed.
Yeah.
She ended up going to River Valley. She graduated, and she is employed full-time at Cheshire Medical Center. So I asked her to send me a little snippet to share, because I just think it's like so incredible and amazing to run into these kids like a few years later and see them actually really following through with these.
Olivia Brown.
And Olivia Brown just graduated from
And
ATC, I believe.
I saw a welcome letter to Grace Cottage as one of our new WRED techs, so.
Oh.
So she's joined our family.
Nice.
So.
Excellent. Love that. And then here's just feedback from last semester, this semester, and my alumni students that 100% would say they recommend co-op to other students. So I'm like, that makes me really happy. I'm really proud of that. For some students, it's life-changing. For others, it may just be a cool experience, but they all leave saying that like they would encourage other students to take advantage of the opportunity. So I feel like that's really good feedback. Full circle, I mentioned Roland Holmes and Greg DeRocha. The same goes for Colin Nystrom, who owns Nystrom Service and Repair. Another local kid that was a co-op student while he was here, decided that he was interested in diesel mechanics and working on vehicles, went to college for that, got his degree, moved back here, bought a business right down the road, and has had 2 student interns so far. And then the same with Madison Russ. This is an incredibly interesting one. She interned with Brian Schmidt, who owns ICS Auto Restoration, who's also the parent of alumni, parent of a current student. She interned with him, suddenly developed this passion for welding, ended up going to welding school, was featured on a television show called Bitchin' Rides. Yeah. Came back here, is now living back in Townsend, Still working with Brian Schmidt. They collaborate together. She opened up her own business called Rusty Works and ended up having one of our students this fall, another a senior, a female senior, has been interning with her and learning welding with Maddie and also with Brian. And so again, this like just incredible full circle experience that we see in this community. I think it's a really cool moment. This is from Christelle Boyle, just a happy parent basically, who said that co-op had a really huge impact on Matt. And that, and I can remember her telling me this, like it used to be a battle to get him to come to school. And then we got him involved in the co-op program, and then she was like, thank you so much. Like, he wakes up in the morning, he's like ready to go, I don't have to fight with him, and he's excited to get to his co-op, so he's a bit more motivated. So that is work-based learning. I know I'm taking too much time, but any questions about the work-based learning?
The rest of them are shorter.
They're much shorter. Peter, you want to say? Just tell them you loved it.
I mean, I honestly really did. It gave me, I actually did co-op or work-based learning full time. So I was working as a full employee for 4 out of 5 days of the week, and then some days on the weekends as well. And it gave me super useful experience and money to help save for paying for future things. Which again is super useful.
Charity.
All right, so Senior Survival, the resurrected program. We do Senior Survival in partnership with Brattleboro Development Credit Corporation. We use their P3 Pipelines and Pathways curriculum. Basically to try to guide students through the transition from high school to adulthood. And as part of our partnership, they have offered our students what they call a Wyndham Work Ready micro-credential that they can put on their resume. They get a fancy certificate, and they get to wear an honor cord at graduation. To earn the credential, they have to receive a 3.0 academically and a 3.0 in habits of learning in senior survival. And then BDCC offers one graduating senior a $500 scholarship. So past recipients were Austin Meeks. Last year was Dylan Greenwood, who is an electrician apprentice with BD Electric, and then this year's is still a secret, and you'll find out on Saturday who that is. But that's a really, I mean, they give our kids hoodies. They buy gift certificates, so when kids are like really stepping up, I can give them a $15 gift certificate to Harveyville Store or the Damn Diner or whatever, just as like incentive, and they provide all these little incentive goodies for us. It is not the old Senior Survival. I do not take people out into the woods and leave them.
Oh, come on. That was fun.
You're not Charlie.
Not that I am opposed to that, but it's just not me. That's another course. We just completed the 4th session, and it is a graduation requirement for all students. So the topics that we cover at this point is we do an orientation, career exploration, professionalism, job applications, resume writing, cover letters, mock interviews, and informational interviews. I have some seniors that are frantically wrapping up mock interviews for me, hopefully tomorrow. So again, I do a feedback form, an anonymous feedback form with them. In the fall, 92% said that they felt like senior survival should be required. Spring, it is about 89%, so that they think it should be required. And this is amazing because this is a whole extra course that they have to take. It doesn't just fill in an A block or a B block or a C block. Like, this is added. And we meet once a week during Flex, so that's only once a week, but like, they have a significant amount of work that they have to do for this. So I think it's pretty amazing that even knowing that, they still say that they should have to do it. So And just some feedback, and I think one of the most important ones here is this class is very helpful and is honestly the most important class I've taken in my high school years. So definitely students feel like they're learning something valuable. Dual enrollment. All right, so on to dual enrollment. This is a program where students can take college level courses and receive both high school credit and college credits. Most of those courses, we offer a variety of courses here on campus. Students can also take courses at a Vermont State College or an online, like with a Vermont State College online. Since the fall of 2013, which is when I started tracking this data, this was before I had this role, I was actually still the person, 250 students have successfully completed a total of 630 dual enrollment classes. The majority of these are 3 credit classes, but all of like chemistry, that sort of thing, those are all 4 credit classes. So Bob, you want to like explain the money?
Yeah, sure. So each student in Vermont is given 2 vouchers for their use in the junior and senior years, and the vouchers basically pay for 1 class each, and so they get those free things. So if they're taking it in-house with one of our teachers, they get a transcript from whatever college we're associating it with for free with the credits on it, because the voucher pays for it. So that's kind of how that works. So that's what there's 305 courses that have been taken where they used the vouchers. It didn't cost them a nickel. It's all paid for by the state, and that's, you know, each course is about $208 per credit at CCV. So that gives you a sense of, most of them are 3 credits, so you know, just under $900. Another 325 courses are courses that kids here have taken above and beyond the 2 vouchers. So many years ago, at some point, I know that it continued when I became principal, was that the board was committed to putting some money in the budget to pay for that gap, to make sure that kids who had the 2 vouchers could also do some additional things, whereas other high schools require the kids to pay the difference. So since 2013, according to Terry's data, the local budget has kicked in $54,000 to do that over the course of whatever 10 budget cycles, right? So $5,000, $6,000 a year is what we contribute locally to this. The families, as a result of all of this, have saved over $500,000. So we wanted to just articulate that you know, based on the number of kids, that's, you know, almost $2,100 per kid that they've saved by our program and by the vouchers. And we just wanted to highlight that because 54,000 coming in, $500,000 coming out, pretty good return on our investment. So you guys should be proud of doing that, and we hope that that continues. But it's just a great opportunity for kids to save some money and for families.
Our current courses are pretty heavily math and science focused: atmospheric science, chemistry, astronomy, algebra 2, prob and stats, pre-calc. We offer all of those through NVU with the exception of pre-calc. We're still offering that with VTC. We previously offered economics, psych, English, comp, and all the upper level language classes. The upper level language classes, we had started out at SIT, we transferred those to Marlboro, and then Marlboro closed.
Yeah, some of the, I mean, the challenge with these, with the dual enrollment is that it's really dependent on the teacher. Our instructor has to go and pass the level of scrutiny by their department into college.
Right, they have to
so
be vetted.
They will not take a first-year teacher. They often will require at least a master's degree, preferably in the field, not just in education. And so, you know, with a small staff with turnover here and there, sometimes classes like economics, when Jane Olmsted was here, she taught the econ class. When she retired, we haven't had anyone qualified to be able to do that yet, so we had to stop offering it. We still offer it as a high school class, but not as a dual enrollment. Same with the psych and so on and so forth. So it just depends on the level of interest, and as new people come in, we try to get them to like, hey, take your resume and throw it at NVU and see what happens. And they'll get back to us and let us know. The other piece we wanted to point out is that, as you guys probably know, Northern Vermont University is the former Linden and Johnson, right, merged. But now there's like merger phase big, which is now going to be Vermont State University, which is going to be all the state colleges together. So we had been exploring, I think Mike had actually asked Terry about this at one point. We had been exploring a program that the Linden Institute does, originally with Linden State College, now NVU, where they had a pretty extensive array of dual enrollment classes that kids could take in partnership with the college. And then what would happen is the kids would actually be able to graduate with an associate's degree when they get their high school diploma. And again, Linden Institute is one of those like quasi public-private schools, so like that's pretty cool.
And they're also right down the road.
And they're right nearby.
They're right there. Yeah.
So when we heard about this program initially, I forget how.
They actually reached out to us.
Yeah, I guess because we were doing so many classes with them, they reached out and asked us, would you be interested in exploring this? And so we looked into it. I talked to Bill and Lori a little bit about it. This is pre-COVID. And it does involve a certain amount of cost to put in addition to what we're already putting in, to build the partnership and create an MOU and so on and so forth. And then, you know, we get the benefit of that out, but we'd have to have more classes available and so on and so forth. Then COVID hit and things have kind of been on hold. But when you asked about that, she was like, yep, we've actually been thinking about this. They are on hold right now until they understand how the VSU thing's gonna all work out. So it is something we're intending to explore. We will continue to explore once we know more about that and how those things all sort out. But I mean, I think that could be a really powerful thing for
That's
kids.
an amazing opportunity for all the kids.
Yeah. And especially if a small rural school in Vermont, public, can get access to that with this state university system, like
graduating kids with associate's degrees,
sky's the limit.
that's huge.
Yep.
So that's a huge stepping stone.
That's really bringing value, so.
Yeah.
So independent studies, this just gives students an opportunity to explore subjects of interest that we don't offer in our program of study. So basically students get to create their own course. Since the fall of 2017, students have taken a total of 58 independent studies. And this is just a sampling. It just gives you a sense of sort of like the interesting and diverse things that students are interested in. Ceramics 3, taking that to the next level. We have a student, this one's interesting, abandoned vehicles as blights. So trying to researching like town laws that allow, that don't have zoning and allow for like abandoned vehicles just to exist. It's really interesting project.
The only thing I want to add about this is that these are things that teachers do in addition to their full schedule of teaching, with no extra reward other than the intrinsic award of working with the kids. So teachers do these, they meet with the kids either during flex, maybe during a prep period, maybe after school, or maybe just via Google Classroom, however they do it. And oftentimes some of these also have an outside person that does it who's not a licensed teacher, who like does some of that coordination, and then the licensed teacher oversees it and so on and so forth. The reason that this is under Terry's purview is that this involves a contract between the kid, the teacher, the outside provider, the counselor, me, the parents, and that she manages that element of it. So that's why she's involved in this.
Wyndham Regional Career Center is a really excellent partnership that we have. This on the right is their current program offerings. Currently, over the past 2 years, we've had 2 students have attended the Career Center. Next year, we have 3 students that are planning on attending. They have some really stellar programs, and I will say what they can offer that we can't is an industry recognized credential. If they successfully complete automotive technology or early childhood ed, they actually, when they graduate, they end up with this like certificate credential. That is not something that we can offer.
I will say that the numbers are low. It might be lower than what you might expect to see. We do regular meetings with them where they come and do a dog and pony for the kids. We bring the kids down there, they do tours. We do a lot of outreach. What I think we've seen is that kids can realize they can get a lot, not all, but a lot of the benefits of that here. And so they don't often go. Secondly, coming out of COVID, kids didn't want to go to Brattleboro. They wanted to stay local. You know, they'd missed their friends, they wanted to be around their social group. They didn't want to go mix with kids they didn't know right yet. These may increase. But even the 3 that are signed up for next year, all 3 of these kids have basically said they won't go unless they can come back. These are half-day programs, unless they can come back and do their academics here. So the old model where we would send them for the day, they'd do their half-day program, then they'd go into BUHS for their courses, and we'd pay BUHS for that, and it all kind of, whatever, there's a deal. They don't want to do that. They want to come back. And so Greg Frost and I have been working out transportation for the ones that need it and trying to, some of them have their own cars, but making sure that those kids can remain with us because they want to. And just, I want you guys to hear that because I think that's a really important thing to hear. So.
Early college, this is a really interesting opportunity through the Vermont State College system where students take standard college courses to complete their senior year of high school and their freshman year of college simultaneously, tuition free. So they are basically a high school student and a college freshman at the same time. They are no longer on our campus. They take that course. For our students, it's typically CCV because we have access. If we lived in Castleton, it would likely be Castleton. Over the past 2 years, 2 students have enrolled in early college, and we have 2 students enrolled for this coming fall.
So 2 quick things about that. One, those students can still participate in the co-curriculums with us. Right? They're still considered co-enrolled with us. However, the state defines co-enrolled with us as no money comes to us for them. So the ADM count, just so you guys know, the financial side of that goes to the state college system, not to us. So we lose the kid for that year. However, as we pointed out, like the opportunity for the family, for the kid is remarkable. But I want you guys to know how the back end works.
How intense is that? I mean,
it's as intense as the courses they select.
Yeah.
You know.
Online learning, we use BTVLC, which is the Vermont Virtual Learning Cooperative, and also VHS, which is, Virtual High School. So we use, our students have both of those options. In 2020, 2021, and over the last 2 years, 4 students took classes with Virtual High School and 3 students took courses at BTVLC. And I was talking to Bob earlier.
And those numbers, those students often sometimes take multiple classes. That's
right.
Just the number of kids that access.
So, but I was thinking that seemed really low, and Bob and I were talking, and I think part of it is that coming out of COVID, nobody wants to be doing online classes anymore. You know, like I think kids really got burnt out, and when the chance came to be back in a classroom, they preferred that. But this really does, I mean, this opens up a lot of opportunity for students that want to explore things that we don't have in our program of studies. And then community service, this is it. So typically in pre-COVID life, beginning with the class of 2019, community service became a graduation requirement, and that requirement was 40 hours. We updated that to account for COVID challenges. So this year's graduating class has to complete 25 hours. The same with next year's class. The class of 2024, it's 30 hours, and the class of 2025, we are back to 40 hours.
But we will say this, we were crunching the data this afternoon, and even though this year's class needs only 25 each, the average for each kid was like 45.
It was 49.75, actually.
So that was the average, which is obviously not every kid, but kind of a cool statistic.
Yeah.
And at graduation, we will announce the student, and we give them an award for the one that has the most hours in their 4 years. They get a special, cord to wear, and we'll announce the number of hours that this class has done, which is well in excess of what the minimum is for sure.
Yep. So since 2018, our graduates have completed a total of over 8,200 hours of community service, which is pretty amazing.
Yeah, we're gonna hit the 10,000 one by next year for sure.
And that's it for my presentation. And I'm going to leave you with a photo of Micah, who is a pretty incredible student that is graduating this year. And he, I was able to arrange an internship for him at the Workhorse Cafe. That internship led into a job, and also led into a living situation for him so that he could remain in our school for his senior year of high school. So the people who are friends of mine who own the Workhorse Cafe, Kurt and Teresa Williams, made a space for Micah in their house this year. And so he lived with them so he could finish up his school year with us. So clearly that is not typical of an internship, but like I also just want to prove like the power of these like little steps, you know. It just started off as an internship. I knew he was interested in cooking. Kurt is one of my best friends, or a very good friend of mine from high school. His wife I'm somehow related to. And I just approached them and said, I have this student and like, please give him an opportunity. And they were like, sure. Did an internship. They liked him so much, they hired him. A situation came over the summer where he was not going to be able to stay in this district. And he was panicked because he just felt like this district gave him the best possible opportunity. And I reached out to them and they said, sure. We will gladly make this work for him, and they did. So
yeah, the Micah sign of approval.
Yes. I mean, I just threw a lot of info, but I'm just wondering if you have any questions or you know, anything you want more information about. You're like, no, I don't want
Terry,
to.
that was amazing. That was like a doctoral thesis on everything that we do here.
That was incredible. How long is it supposed to be? I'm like, I think it's supposed to be 10 minutes.
To be fair, I told him, I'm like, I could spend an hour just talking about work-based learning because it's amazing and it's powerful, and I really love it, but it's also, I mean, there's just so many amazing things, and I think that the people that have done it tell the best stories about it, and it's important for you guys, I think, to hear what they have had to say about their experience, because they say it better than I do.
And I really wanted her to do the presentation again. And I've said this to you guys before, but when we heard that Leland Ray should do an internship program here, I was like, yeah. So making people aware of what we do, making sure you guys are aware of what we do, even if it's like a little bit more detailed maybe than you want to be sometimes, it's important to understand it so that when you hear those comments, you can be like, well, actually, from what I know, since the early 70s, we've been doing that. You can combat that misinformation that's in the public. So it helps the reputation and makes us more appealing.
We need that PR.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, thank you guys.
Have any of the students kind of interned to go into a job like you're doing?
I actually have interns. Yep. That started, I think, last spring. So I have students that intern with me because over time, like my job is pretty big.
Yeah.
And it was already big, and then we added senior survival, and so I'm coordinating and doing all that sort of thing, but I've got 19 co-op kids that I have a curriculum for, and so I'm grading those assignments, and now I also have senior survival, and I'm grading half of the senior class each semester, and then another staff person left, so I did split community service with someone, but then I inherited all of community service. So yeah, it's a lot, and so I have.
Terry, it could be worse. You could still be my admin assistant, right?
Yes, it's true. It's totally true. But so I do have someone actually that interns with me, and it's been like They help me with a lot of community service. It's been really heavy on the community service, trying to get a new system in place to track hours and that sort of thing.
And they did some alumni reach out with you a few years back.
Yeah,
too,
so right, and so that was my other big initiative. That's my the other thing I really want to be spending time doing is alumni outreach, because I think that it is critical for so many aspects of the success of Leland and Gray. And I had started that and had really gotten pretty involved in that. And then COVID happens, and then I inherited senior survival. So my alumni work has really sort of died down, but that is something that when I have had an intern, I've asked them, we've been kind of chipping away at that. Reaching out to alumni, getting their stories, getting profiles, sharing what they're doing, because I think it's really critical for current students to know what is possible with a Leland and Gray education. I think oftentimes people are like, oh, it's just a small school in a rural town, what am I going to do with this? And meanwhile, we have alumni all over the world doing some really incredible, impressive things, and a lot of alumni that chose to stay around here and have really successful businesses. And so I just think it's super important for our students to see that and know that our alumni, we are very successful and are doing really interesting things. But that's on my to-do list currently, so I'll get to that over the summer probably, a little bit.
Wow, Terry, that was great.
Great job. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And yeah, I would say if we want to dispel the myth any time in the future, refer to June 8th presentation. Look at how much we have to offer. Yeah, it's incredible.
We really do. I mean, it makes me sad. It makes me a little frustrated when I hear that people don't know it, because I see it every day. Like, our kids are doing really cool things. And they're so diverse, and they're all such unique people, and they're all just figuring it out for themselves. And I see them really trying so hard. And so I feel disheartened when I feel like the community doesn't know all these amazing things that kids are doing to like further themselves down the road, you know?
Terry, there was a lot up there. Were there any co-ops for journalism or
PR?
There have been independent studies with journalism.
Okay, good. We need to talk later.
Yeah.
And there's a new English class next year for journalism. Will be a new student newspaper being generated next year.
Oh, that's great. Copy to the Reformer.
We need PR. PC.
All right. Thank you, Terry.
Thank you.
All right, Scotty, if you're out there.
I am out here. I just want to say, first of all, that was amazing. And that, I learned a lot about our high school, and I really appreciate it a lot. I'm just going to give a really brief update on our J.E.D.I work. We completed our first cycle, and I feel like I'm part of something very successful, my little part. We have some plans now that include, we wanted to have a summer retreat, and we could not isolate a time when the majority of the folks could get together, so we're going to put that off. We are going to be moving our monthly meetings from after school from 12:30 to 2:30 once a month, and that's going to enable some of our students and some of our staff to access and to be take a bigger role. And in fact, I'm really looking forward. I love working with Bob, and he's going to join our team as well, which I'm really excited about. So for next year, we're going to be we're going to have 3 arms of this work. We're going to have the inclusion team, which is going to be, again, meeting once a month, and we're going to be working through, my hope is that by next year we'll be looking at policy and procedure and curriculum items. We're also going to, we also are in contract with our collaborators who are actually through the collaborative, it's called. Collaborative.org, and they are going to be able to offer the team, the leadership team, consultation and coaching. So what I'm hoping to see is like a balance between the coaching, which would be, or I'm sorry, the consultation, which would be kind of reactionary. So we had this event and we need to handle it properly. Could you help us to do so? The other part will be for straight up training for the leaders, and I would imagine that would revolve around lots of different topics, as this is very broad, diversity, education in general. Finally, we're also going to be starting a group at the high school, and they are going to be starting the group, and it's going to be a support group for kids of color and other students that are allies. So I feel like with these 3 initiatives in place, our J.E.D.I team is going to do a really good job in year 2. What I personally hope is, because I really miss working with high school kids, is that we get more, with Bob's inclusion on the team and with Taggart Phillips, who is our health teacher at the high school and my phys ed teacher at Newbrook. She has been bringing students along, and what our hope is that with it in the afternoon, we'll have a lot more student input, which will allow us to address issues that are most pertinent to the student body, which is the whole purpose of our work. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Scotty. Appreciate it. All right, moving on to electric bus project. They had requested an MOU. Joe, you're on that task force. You want to?
Yeah, it's in the packet. I looked at the MOU, and I actually, given the nature of the task force, it's not actually a board. I'm not sure we need anything as formal as the MOU signed. I mean, it does a nice job of setting forth the parameters, but I'm not sure. I think it might limit things, and it also then, does it put it under the purview of the board for warnings and things like that, where it's just a task force? You know, I haven't talked to the other two members. Paul Patus and I have been trading emails about, you know, sorry, I'm so busy. We really need to get together and start talking about this. So I haven't even had a chance to discuss that with the other two task force members. So I'm not sure we need it, and I certainly wouldn't push it forward tonight without some discussion.
Should we just table this for another agenda?
That would work.
That makes sense. Okay, fair. Let's table that. All right, moving on to old business. I'll entertain a motion to approve the minutes of May 11th.
So moved.
2022.
Second.
Any discussion? Seeing none. Lindsay, do we still have you out there?
Thumb up. I see a thumb up.
You see a thumb up?
Yep.
Oh, yeah.
He's in favor.
All right. Lindsay votes aye. Sarah?
Aye.
Leah?
Aye.
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 Aye, round the horn. Motion carries unanimously. All right, moving on to principal reports. Well, we've heard enough from Bob. No.
Yeah, I think you guys have definitely got your fill.
Can you tell us about the co-op program?
Yeah, graduation Saturday morning. I'm very excited about that, and yeah, I'll leave you with that.
And there is a live stream, right?
There is. It's posted on our website and on our Facebook page. 2 different options.
And it's not going to be 85 degrees and 100% humidity.
At this point,
like
we're
it normally
just, yeah, we're thinking it's going to be outside, is our hope.
Yeah.
So the weather looks decent. So.
Awesome. Let's see. Was Craig out there? I don't know if... No?
I do know Craig.
All right, Scotty, yeah, you want to go ahead and give us a brief?
I could do this really briefly. I want to thank the New England Youth Theater for their collaboration with our laughter program. We just put on a play that was hilarious, and we did it at Townsend with Townsend students. There were Townsend kids and Newbrook kids. So we did it at Townsend, we did it at Newbrook, and we did it at the theater downtown. Again, I mean, a lot of our families don't take part in things that are way up the valley in Bratt, and it's really nice that they were willing to come out. Thanks to the Girls on the Run folks for that incredible program that they put together for our students. Our softball team at Newbrook is doing real well, and they have one more game, and if they win it, they're the champs. So they're playing Vernon. Nice. Again, I want to thank Shelly Bosker, our kindergarten teacher, for covering for me. I got COVID a few weeks back, and I was out for a full week, and it went seamlessly at school. We had a beautiful ceremony for Pat Brandley's retirement, which was really sweet and was covered by the paper. Jason Gragan raised trout in the classroom, and while I was sick with COVID, it's my favorite trip. We always go down to Grassy Brook down in Brookline and release these little fingerlings into the brook, and I didn't get to do it this year, but they went down, and there's a video of Gragan carrying the bucket down on their Facebook page. This week we've got Farm and Field Day on Friday at Newbrook. We've got the new move-up ceremony, or not ceremony, a move-up where they go to the next up class and just spend a little bit of time with that teacher. That's happening on Monday. On Tuesday, we're sending a grade 1 field trip to the zoo. We're doing the staff versus students kickball game. And I think that I've got a few ringers this year, so we're in good shape. Finally, we have graduation at JBS on Tuesday at 4, Wednesday at 6:30 p.m. at Newbrook, and then we're doing 2 days of Bridges math training on Thursday and Friday with full staff, which I'm very excited about. Over at JBS, really quickly, I just want to thank the Vermont, the parks. They had us in, and we did a nature scavenger hunt with all the kids in the school. It was amazing. The kids were running all over the park, and then we came back and they built us a fire. We had s'mores. This happened last Thursday afternoon. It was really fun. Today, they went on their all-school field trip up to the Echo Center at Burlington. I want to thank Susan Clark for planning it, and I wanted to thank Greg for taking care of the transportation for us. That's what I got for you guys. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Scotty. That's it? Wow.
Couple things.
That's a lot of activities in about a week. That's great. Okay. Thanks for the reports. And moving on to approved financials.
I got them.
You got them?
I got them. I printed them out. So we've got two, actually. The regular, I want to make a motion to approve the checks. It's, I don't even know, it's the 6/2 to 6/3 check run in the amount of $158,756.83, and additionally a special check run on June 7th in the amount of $1,100.
I'll second it.
Any discussion? Seeing none, we'll take a vote. Lindsay, how do you vote?
Watch for the thumb.
Yep.
There it is.
There's the thumb. There.
Aye.
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 And aye. Motion carries unanimously. Okay, moving on to long-term. Oh, I'm sorry, Lori, before we move on, yes, you have something?
Yeah, I just wanted to take a brief moment just to talk through the profit and loss report. It's a long report, but if you just look at the summary of major fund balances, this is what I was talking about before. So the general fund is projected to end somewhere in about $180,000. It'll probably end up being a little bit more than that when all of the encumbrances are released. Of that 180, we're going to move whatever has not been spent out of the building, the capital needs approval, as you just voted on. Just jumping down to the reserve fund, you'll have at the end of the year almost $600,000 in reserve. So these are just all the major funds. You can look through them, and the detail is attached to that report. So sitting in a pretty good position. And next meeting, your July meeting, I'll be bringing forth a tax anticipation note that will need to be signed, but the bank and I agreed that it only needs to be a 6-month tax anticipation period because you are in much better financial health than you've been in several years. So it'll probably be somewhere in the $1 million to $1.2 million and only for 6 months. So trying to keep that interest low that you'll be paying on that loan. That's it. Kept it brief for you, but as always, I'm here to answer questions.
Thanks, Lori. Yeah, and that was a great report. What are the rates running about now? Probably 2 to 3 times.
Actually, I have not seen them from the bank yet, so I really don't know yet.
Yeah.
But keeping it shorter will be helpful.
Yeah. Great. Thank you. Any questions for Lori? No. All right. Seeing none. Long-term planning update. So we had our meeting on Monday, 2 short days ago. Still fresh in our minds. Great presentations by both the elementary and secondary task force. Really appreciate it. A lot of work between now and the next meeting. I know that Fiona will be sending out a doodle poll, I believe, to secure 2 dates for us to have community meetings, and I believe
I'm your volunteer.
Talked about, yeah, thank you, a meeting in Jamaica and a meeting in Newbrook, kind of both sides of our district, which is great. So that should be by the end of June, and also I think BCTVA will be able to provide us the cut from both the elementary and the secondary task force from our last meeting, so that can be used as the presentation for those meetings, and then you can have a much more thorough dialogue as opposed to running through the whole presentation, taking so long, and not having enough time for Q&A. So. Did I miss anything, folks? No? All right. Very good. So let's move on to next regular board meeting. So.
Did we do
no, we didn't.
Meet in July, ? Action. Trying to remember what we did last year. Did we skip July and go to August, or?
Did we skip August?
I mentioned the scan things.
Folks, any thoughts on if we were to skip a month, which month we would want to, or not. I mean, we do have a lot going on, so.
Lori has her hand up.
Lori.
If you do decide to skip July, then I would ask that you make a motion that the board chair can sign the tax anticipation note, which will, be early July. It would have been for your regular meeting in July. And also I'll probably need, well, I guess I'm the treasurer now, so that's easy. But the board will also have to sign a resolution because you appointed me to be treasurer. The board will also have to sign a resolution to that effect at that meeting as well. So I'm just putting it out there. I know
maybe
July usually take off, but
yeah. Drew just. Sorry, Lloyd. Drew just said maybe if we were to skip one, maybe skip August. But yeah, so let's stick to our July. What would the date be in July now that we've moved it to the 13th? Okay.
Yeah. 2 days after.
Well, yeah, I was just gonna say we'll do the same thing. Bang bang.
Because we're not doing the first Monday because it's the 4th.
All right. So our next meeting will be on July 13th. Next meeting July 11th, and then July 13th.
We just need.
Okay. And then maybe at that time we can look to see in August, or if we can or should skip August, we'll have more information by then. So, all right.
Al?
Yes, sir.
We skipped over an item on the agenda. I don't know if the safety updates was something that was there specifically because you wanted to talk about it.
Oh.
Or
especially in this.
That's a great point. Did we have anything specific? Sorry.
Well, I mean, I think there was a question from a board member about after the stuff in Texas to just kind of say something about safety. I think Crystal was the one that it came from, right?
Yeah.
So I will say this. It is recommended by the folks at the AOE who run the safety side of it for us. Margolis Healy, which is a consulting firm, I guess, that they work with, that works with us. We are advised to not talk about specific procedures publicly because we don't want the public to know necessarily how we respond to situations, because then it gives people information we don't want them to have. What I can tell you, though, is that we are doing safety audits with that organization again this summer, where we are going to be reviewing the audits they did for us in 2018. And, well, 2018 was Leland and Grant. I can't speak to the other schools. And we will review that audit first, determine what elements of that we corrected or didn't correct, and then meet with them to discuss the next phase of it. And then they will re-audit our procedures and protocols. So we're always looking at it. And I think I sent out to families anyways, the week after that, we were already planning to do a lockdown drill, which we did successfully. We did it a little bit differently than we normally would do. Normally we just go into a lockdown, like assume the position. But this time we did a little prep over the PA to let people know this is a drill. We don't want people being anxious and panicking. We need you to take it seriously, but because of recent events, we want to make sure you knew it was a drill. And it had been the first time since pre-COVID that we'd done one, because during COVID they told us not to, specifically lockdowns. We did evacuation drills. That's different for fires. So, it went, for not having done one over 2 years, it went pretty well. It's always things to correct. After every drill, we always email the staff with the crisis team meets after a drill to talk about what went wrong, what went right, and then we do a debrief to the staff that explains sort of, here's some things to think about. If there's specific individuals that didn't do what they were supposed to do correctly, we email them individually and be like, hey, don't forget you're supposed to do this. But for 2 years without having one, I actually thought it went pretty well. I can't speak to the other schools, but that's where we are. So I think we're meeting with the consulting group over the summer with Greg, and we're waiting until Dana Quadro, our new assistant principal, will be on board so he can be a part of that as well, because the assistant principal is typically the one who is in charge of those drills and such. Leanne.
I just wanted to ask, because I know it's been done at the elementary school level, has VSP collaborated at all on this, since they would be the responding units?
Right, it's a great question. We have not done that with VSP. I will say this, the people who do these things through the state are a lot of them are retired troopers, but we haven't had specifically the VSP come in. I have heard a rumor that the Windham County Sheriff's Department is negotiating with Townsend for contract. I don't know if that's, maybe I'm not supposed to say that out loud, I don't know. But I've heard that's a possibility, because I specifically asked that if that happened, would that speed up our response? Because they would be able to respond, and the answer I got was, it should, at least until we're down on Ferry Road in Brattleboro, because they're planning a move out of Newfane as well. So, yeah, we always talk about that. I will say that we did have a situation, which again, I communicated, I think, to you guys, with a non-credible threat that it came to us, and I had the state police there pretty quickly. And so, you know, that was not an active situation, that was a, you know, so they do get here pretty quickly when they need to. But yeah, it's a valid question to include them in some of those drills. I think for the first one, we kind of keep it low. We didn't want troopers walking around in full regalia, terrifying people as well. So
I've spoken with the state police, because we're regularly with them, and they'll be reaching out to you soon.
Oh, okay, great.
Some drills over the summer.
Yeah, awesome.
So that is coming.
Yeah, very good. And I think part of it too is like I mean, the reason we did some of that, the community safety team that we did previous to COVID, was to get them in the building and to get them, because troopers come and go, right? And so to get them to be able to be at least familiar with the layout, even if it was just a rough layout, understand the building, so if they had to respond, you know. I will also mention our IT department is working on the ability to take our camera system and have it be something that we can share out with an IP address, so that state police can actually monitor those things. Not monitor them during the day, but to be able to get on it quickly and easily if something happened, so that we can say there's something happening. You know, look at the B-level cameras, and they can help us and track the intruder or whatever. That involves MOUs around the privacy side. We don't want them just monitoring it, only in cases of emergency. So that part we're going to work through that details. But I'm waiting for IT to kind of finish that project, and then we'll reach out to do that as well. And we'll do that with the Windham County Sheriff's Department as well.
The badge system will make a big difference.
Yeah.
So I did get an email from a parent after the Texas segment. Basically, I won't tell you exactly what it said because there was some profanity involved, but basically it was like, please keep your doors locked and don't let people prop them open.
Yeah.
To which I responded, yep, we're on that. So, I mean, we do the best we can. We have a lot of, particularly in this building, a lot of doors, exterior doors, so, you know, we do the best we can. But anytime people are out and about, maintenance staff, admin, you know, whoever, people are always, you know, checking. And it's not really a major problem, but it only takes one time, as we know.
So one of the things I had asked about was doors and windows that
the tinting,
people,
you mentioned, yeah.
So that people can't see in the school.
Right.
They wouldn't have to do them all, just like.
We'll talk to the consultants about that when we do the eval, just to find out what their thoughts are on that. But I think it's a conversation we could definitely have with them. But I would want to see what they would say and see if there's flip sides to that argument. There might be, I don't know. So, but it's worth a conversation for sure. I mean, a lot of the windows are not reachable from the outside, but
right.
Some are. So, yeah. So yeah, we're working hard to keep everyone safe. So I don't know if that really meets what you were looking for, but it's.
We just noticed there's an agenda item, so.
Yeah.
I'll make sure we don't skip anything.
Well,
appreciate that. Appreciate that. As long as I get home by halftime.
How fast can you drive?
All right, yeah, right.
Follow the law.
Yes. All right, well, I think we've covered everything. Apologize, thank you for keeping me honest on that. I will entertain that final motion.
Motion to adjourn.
Second?
I'll second it.
Lindsay? Thank you.
Yes.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries unanimously. Have a great night, everybody.